Hello, wild ponies. It's been a long time since we last saw each other. But don't worry, I'm still alive. After Microsoft finally raised the white flag, I was able to retire. So videos will still appear, but only sporadically. When something interests me, like in this case. Look at this Xbot. Maybe I wouldn't react to it, but I can see that this isn't just one idiot, but more and more of this kind of idiocy is spreading across the internet. So we'll explain these idiots, using this moron as an example. Let's see what he wrote. PlayStation fanboys thought they had a win with Resident Evil 9 on the PS5 Pro. How embarrassing. Xbox Series X is undefeated. The losses keep coming for PlayStation fanboys in 2026. So, let's analyze what this moron presented. To be completely fair to you, and to him of course, we will check if the source material is misleading. After all, we dealt with such situations in the past, when experts analyzed only those areas where their favorite platform was winning. Okay, let's look at the screenshots he posted on Twitter to support his thesis that the Xbox Series X version is somehow magically better than the more powerful platform, and then we'll refer to the source. The first screenshot shows a green line marking a puddle on the other side of the street. Screen is comparing Xbox Series X version and in the PlayStation 5 Pro version. The second screenshot is supposed to refer to some element in the background. I guess it's that lamp? The third screen shows a low-quality reflection in the mirror on the PlayStation 5 Pro, and for some unknown reason, doesn't show the Xbox version. The fourth screen is nothing more than a cropped, cut-out fragment from the third screen. Okay, let's move to the source material. Let's take a look at the first screenshot, the one with the black car. In the source material, we see the comparison mentioned above. First, we see the Xbox Series X version, then the PS5, and finally, the PS5 Pro. If we pay attention to the area pointed out by that Xbot, we can see that the reflections in the puddle do indeed appear to be of better quality on the Xbox. Unfortunately for him, this is not due to some technological advantage of Microsoft's hardware, but only to the fact that the SSR technique, space screen reflections, was used here. This means that the console renders reflections based on cloning what is already on the screen. So you could say it's more of a simulation. Despite the good quality of the reflections, this technique has a serious drawback. It cannot display reflections of something that is not visible on the screen. For example, reflections in the mirror of your character when they are standing with their back to the screen. But okay, someone, for example, some Xbot, will say that since SSR looks better, why use ray tracing? First of all, as I said, SSR is not perfect. You've seen that this technique cannot display reflections of things that should be reflected, and they are not visible on the screen at the moment, so you can't use them in gameplay. Secondly, SSR only looks good in static scenes. When in motion, SSR starts to look ugly and artifacts are displayed. We can see this in the same material. Take a look at the moment when the van drives by. Focus on the puddle that our Xbot liked so much. Do you see how the reflection disappears? With ray tracing, this cannot happen. Let's look at the black car. Strange that our Xbox fanboy didn't notice it, right? The car in the Xbox version is matte, with no reflections on it. On the PS5 Pro, we see a shiny car reflecting elements of the environment. Why doesn't the car have reflections on the Xbox? Because the Xbox doesn't have ray tracing. The same thing happens with the car near our Xbox puddle. But let's go back to the car at the front of the screen. As you can see, on Pro, the reflections on the car come from the environment that is not currently visible on the screen. SSR is not capable of this. Only ray tracing is. Thirdly, ray tracing is not only about reflections, but also about lighting that is true to nature, because ray tracing copies nature. A good example here are the shaded areas where they should be, and the illuminated areas not only brighten the surrounding objects.
As a little example, take a look at the guy holding the umbrella right here in this scene. Beneath him, with the ray tracing enabled, you actually get sort of more ambient shading, the shadow from the umbrella above.
But also do so in the right color, consistent with the color of the light source. And unfortunately for our Xbot, it's clear which platform has better lighting and which one is lacking. Look at the areas marked in red. These are places that are correctly lit on the PS5 Pro. I think the matter is clear here, and that one puddle in the background that looks sometimes better doesn't compensate for the lack of proper lighting and reflections for the rest of the scene. So let's move on to screenshot number 2. As it turns out, it does not come from the same video material as the image with the black car. So, our Xbot did some serious research. Sorry. It's just a shame that he decided to mislead his followers again. The image comes from Digital Foundry material, which doesn't take the Xbox into account. It compares only the PS5 to the PS5 Pro. There is no Xbox in this comparison. Another fact worth mentioning, the lamp, which Xbot happily placed in a circle, is actually an object in the distance, shown at double zoom. If we look at the same screen in good quality, we can clearly see that the lamp on the left is pixelated. In the case of Pro, on the right, the lamp is blurred, as it should be, since it is an object in the distance. But there is no pixelation, which is clearly a better result. It is also worth comparing other elements of the photo, such as all the signs and symbols, which look better even to the naked eye. The signs were also cropped and cut out of the screenshot posted by our little liar for some reason. The same video shows many other comparisons, where the superiority of the PS5 Pro is clearly and indisputably evident. However, for some reason, our friendly Xbot decided to skip them. But let's leave that lamp alone. Let's move on to the third and fourth screenshots. We'll discuss them together because they're actually the same photos. I couldn't find any reliable source for this photo. I think it comes from some short video on TikTok or YouTube. However, we still have the video from which the screenshot with the black car comes from. In this video, we have a comparison with a mirror where we can see how it works on the PS5 Pro and how it works on the Xbox Series X. I'm not going to ask why Xbot didn't use these screenshots. After all, we know he watched the video. But let's be honest, from what I can see, there are visible problems with how it works on the PS5 Pro. The reflection is far from perfect. But on Xbox, oh man, the reflection doesn't exist at all. It's completely gone. Well, I don't know what's wrong with Phil's illegitimate children, but they'd rather not have something than have it. Apparently, life as an Xbot has taught them not to ask for more, but to be content even with the lack of something. We could end this video here and leave this Xbot looking ridiculous. And perhaps we should. But there's something even funnier about this story that I simply have to mention. Because Xbot's beloved console doesn't have ray tracing, some Xbot might insist that Resident Evil Requiem generally looks better without ray tracing, with ray tracing turned off. An argument like, because I like it better, something like that might come up. And you know what's funny about that? Well, on the PlayStation 5 Pro, you can play the game with ray tracing turned off. In this mode, the game looks exactly the same as on the Xbox Series X, but there is one big difference: the frame rate. The PS5 Pro generates significantly more frames per second, and this mode aims for 120 frames per second. Xbox version is up to 60 frames per second. Funny, isn't it? All these comparisons. Laughs and mocking, celebrating and showing that the Xbox Series X has better graphics. Everything for nothing. Because if you want, the PS5 Pro can run the game with the same graphics settings as the Xbox Series X, but the gamer gets double the frame rate. Phil would choose the PlayStation Pro version. Have fun destroying Xbots. Take care, ponies.